Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. You may have had this particular experience if you've ever had cats. You might open the door to invite your cat inside, only to find that the cat just sits on the doorstep, unsure about whether to come in or not. And as you motion to pick the cat up, to bring the cat inside, it tears away into the dark night. Christians are a bit like that when it comes to praying. We have been invited into God's presence, but we stand unsure on the threshold of His presence. We know the way is open, but sometimes we feel too unsure of what to do. At other times, we know we can pray, but we just don't. We often run and hide ourselves in activity. At other times, we come easily and naturally to prayer. All humans have a natural tendency to seek God in prayer, but many of them would never admit it. As St. Augustine said, our hearts are restless until they find rest in Thee. We are made to be worshipping creatures. We all center our lives around something, and we recognize false worship very easily. The idols of drugs and alcohol and food we see as being dangerous. The pursuit of money is also a significant idol in our lives. Actually, anything that takes our focus also off of God is an idol, irrespective of whether it is good, in the sense that family may be good, or bad, in the sense of drugs. Our idols are all ways in which we hunger for connectedness with something beyond. Our hunger is for the holy other. We hunger for a relationship with God, and yet do all we can to avoid it. Our normal experience of prayer is that it is a struggle, and we keep telling ourselves that we are no good at prayer. One of the obstacles to prayer is sin, and we feel that we are just not good enough to come into God's presence. But one sin that really does trip up our prayer lives is pride. Pride says, "Leave this to me, God. I can handle it." Another obstacle to prayer is unbelief. Unbelief says, if I don't do this, no one will, not even God. We don't actively or actually say these words, but they lie at the heart of our attitude towards God and life. Pride and unbelief are evident in the way we approach prayer. We see it as something we do, or that we are quite capable of doing. But truly, prayer is beyond us. It can only be done by the grace of God, and it can be done. God is always ready for our prayers, but we are the problem. We are the ones who so seldom truly come to a place of believing prayer. The disciples themselves needed instruction in prayer. When we come to God, it is helpful to own our own weaknesses and to come to God looking for help. Once we do this, we truly begin to engage in prayer. Grace is the very basis of prayer, just as it is the basis of all creation, including the gift of life itself. Grace lays the axe to the root of pride and unbelief. If we simply admit that we cannot pray, but that God by His Spirit enables us to pray, then we can build a prayer life on God's generosity. Prayer is the basis of a relationship with God, a relationship that is sustained by God Himself. And so today, consider your own prayer life. And do any of these obstacles apply to you? And if they do, then the place to begin is to come to God and tell Him that you need help. And by His grace, you will find a way to pray. Amen.